I was in the Bonnie Blue Channel 4 documentary. Was not a line that was on my 2025 bingo card, yet here we are. Now, I have to preface this and state that I was not in any of the queues. I was not a participant in any of the challenges that she did, and I was not part of anything sexual. I just have to put it out there before people read the title and be like, whoa, how did this guy end up just completely 180 and U-turning and just going and joining a Bonnie Blue queue after getting married? It didn't happen, ladies and gentlemen. It didn't happen. But what did happen was I was actually in the Channel 4 documentary. Now, I didn't realise this. I knew, people had reached out to me to ask if I could, the editors of the show or whatever, if they could use some of my clips. And I said, sure. But I didn't realise it had actually even aired. But people messaged me and were like, did you know that you're in the Bonnie Blue documentary? And I was like, this is crazy stuff. How the hell did I get into a Bonnie Blue documentary before GTA 6? Bro, life is not actually real right now. But this is the little segment that was sent to me because I'm not actually allowed to use the direct Channel 4 stuff because I'll get copyright struck and stuff. But this is me.
In a bid to outdo Bonnie Blue, Lily Phillips has just released her latest stunt.
This one involves 50 guys, and not the front door. The back door.
I'm 99 and I'm getting over 200 guys today.
She had sex with a Down syndrome kid.
Yeah, I really want to do a disabled gangbang.
And there we are. So I was in the Bonnie Blue documentary. Yeah, it was for about 3 seconds, but, that's my little claim to fame, I suppose. Anyway, the whole thing is absolutely mental. And this Bonnie Blue documentary has sparked not only outrage publicly for, as typical, but also it could implement some government bans, which is pretty insane. So this Bonnie Blue documentary has, not only changed things for the public facing, stuff, but it's also changed things for government and, potentially new policies, which I guess we could probably thank Bonnie Blue for, but we can also say that she's to fault as well. Anyway, here's some of the key highlights from the Bonnie Blue documentary in case you haven't watched it yet. I do recommend you go and watch it if you're interested in this kind of stuff, because it's not just about the sex stuff, but it's also about the it's about how social media has really influenced this person and has really kind of put this person into a corner and made her what she is. All right, so this is the key highlights.
Bonnie Blue documentary. This is going to be a completely PG, safe for work review. First of all, and the craziest thing we learn is that Bonnie Blue actually used to work for the NHS. She worked a normal 9 to 5 in finance recruitment, and she talks a lot about how she was miserable, bored, unfulfilled. That was a lot of the reason why she wanted to do something more exciting with her life. Next up, and Bonnie Blue insists that she is not mentally affected by her job whatsoever. She insists throughout the show that she's happy, she's enjoying herself, and that in general she is just not an emotional person. Although the documentary tries to challenge this narrative by showing images of her like this. This was exactly what she looked like after she took part in her biggest challenge yet. And many might argue that she looks traumatized. Another shocking thing we learn in the documentary is that Bonnie Blue has a whole team of people around her, including a publicist who deliberately drops stories into newspapers to keep her relevant and essentially advises her on things she can say that will enrage the public. Her publicist admitted that a lot of the shocking stories you see about her, for example, one where a dad and a son both drove to meet her, are actually provided by them and leaked to the papers by them. And her publicist admitted that they deliberately use rage bait tactics, aka they will try and get Bonnie Blue to deliberately say things in her videos and her promo content that will enrage the public so that she keeps gaining traction. In fact, they will look at comments and see what is irritating people the most, because at the end of the day, Bonnie Blue knows that the more relevant she is, the more people will see her content and the more money she'll make. And another thing is just how much money this woman is making. She is a legitimate millionaire. Bonnie is now making anywhere between 500,000 and 2 million
Sorry everyone, got a FaceTime call.
a month. They also say in the documentary that if Bonnie Blue is trying to promote something, she will make up to 200 TikToks a day of pure rage bait. 200 TikToks a day is a lot. Another shocking revelation is that with this money, Bonnie Blue has retired her entire family, and instead she's put them on her payroll and none of them have to work. But that doesn't mean it's been easy for her family, because the only time we see Bonnie looking genuinely guilty or vulnerable about something in this documentary is when she talks about the abuse that her family have suffered because of her reputation. Her mum talks about how family friends they've had for years have now turned against them and won't associate with them. And the most shocking thing is that although Bonnie now has all this money, she admits that she rarely leaves the house alone. Essentially, she is now scared for her life. Because she has become such a big public figure and she gets so many unalive threats, Bonnie says she basically no longer feels safe in public. And the documentary questions, well, you might be one of the most rich and famous people in the world right now, but if you can't leave your house, what is the point?
I mean, it's a good argument made, right? Because ultimately, like, there is no space, in my opinion, for anyone to be receiving any kind of threats like that, regardless of who they are, right? Those kind of threats just aren't acceptable, okay? Like, this person, yes, is rage baiting the public and is trying to entice, you know, views and stuff like this through that rage bait tactic, but there's just no space for it. It's a human being at the end of the day. But that doesn't mean that I condone the behaviour or condone the rage bait tactics. It just means that I just don't condone like that level of hatred towards other people. But you know, like basically the Channel 4 documentary, what it does is it tries to push this like idea of challenging the narratives that Bonnie Blue puts out in these documentaries, and asks the hard questions like, well, what is the point of being a multi-billion or millionaire, if you're too intimidated to leave the house? Anyway, off the back of this, it has been stated by The Guardian that government could potentially ban barely legal, you know, this after Bonnie Blue documentary. Baroness Burton plans to propose legislation in autumn which could make it illegal for online platforms to host content that could encourage this. Now, obviously, this, I don't know why it took for a Bonnie Blue documentary for this to even become a thing. Obviously, this was the thing that really kind of blew her to popularity, and this was the first rage bait tactic that really exploded for her, and she still runs with this kind of barely legal narrative. But basically, the task force will propose legislations aimed at banning the type of content produced by the star Bonnie Blue, known as Barely Legal. It comes off the Channel 4 documentary about the star called 1,000 Men and Me, the Bonnie Blue story, which followed her for 6 months. Obviously, we all know about it. We've just heard about it. But she plans to raise amendments to the crime and policing bill once Parliament returns from its summer recess to make it illegal for online platforms to host content that could encourage this kind of content. And this would include content filmed by adults dressed up as children. Obviously, that is... In the UK, already we've seen quite an uptick in pushing against these kinds of sites anyway, with age limit restrictions coming into place. I mean, the amount of VPN sales in the UK have literally skyrocketed off the back of this stuff, because you can't access your favourite sites without having to sign up first, and nobody wants emails coming in from the hub, right, telling them that they have signed up for it. So it's quite a messy situation. Now, obviously, I don't know why it's taken up until now for the government to be like, actually, do you know what? That's a pretty good idea. Maybe we shouldn't be encouraging this, and maybe we should stop sites from encouraging this kind of behaviour towards children. You know, yeah, it's kind of messed up, but, you know, at least something's being done about it now, I suppose. Better it be done now, better late than never. But yeah, there it is. The Bonnie Blue documentary dropped. I was involved in it, but not in the way that, you know, many other people were, like 1,000 other people were. But yeah, I do recommend watching it if you haven't already, because it is an interesting watch. And over on TikTok as well, this is just a little caveat, over on TikTok as well, I've seen a lot of psychologists and people like that, you know, and body language experts watch this documentary as well and share their thoughts on it. That's a whole nother video for another day. But they kind of read it between the lines with it, and they can really kind of, you know, pick out things that are stated that, you know, aren't necessarily stated, if that makes sense. Let me know what you guys think about it, though. Have you watched it? What were your thoughts? Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump to get the hell out of that like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.